Alright, what's up guys? Bailey here. So I am back, right? I don't think you guys really thought I was going to cover this card, but I am. We are covering UFC Fight Night. Tatsuro Taira versus Hong Sung Park in the main event. I actually think this is low-key going to be a sleeper Fight Night card. I think it's going to be a nice, pleasant card to watch. And yeah, let's get right into it. So first we got Danny Silva versus Kevin Valajos. I actually think this can be a pretty good fight. I like Kevin Valajos. I actually think he's going to win. He has a great chin, smooth boxing combinations. He has really smooth combinations, silk smooth boxing. Very powerful too. And I thought that his fight against Jean Silva, he was 21 in that fight. And I think he was very impressive. Danny Silva, he's very high pressure. He has smooth boxing as well. And he has really good calf kicks. While I do like that, I just think that Kevin Vlahos is going to win. I don't think he's going to knock him out, but I just think that the power is going to be too much. I think that the technique, technically, I think he's a little better on the feet, but I just think the power is really what's going to, change the game for Kevin Vlahos. So I think I got him by, I think decision, but he could also get the finish as well. Next, we got Neil Magny versus Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. Listen, man, I love Neil Magny, man. He's battle hardened. He's really good defensive grappling. He's a goated gatekeeper. But Dos Santos, man, he has really fast spinning kicks. He's very accurate, and he's a finisher. And he's someone who's going to actively go out there and pursue that. But with that being said, I'm going to take Neil Magny, even though I feel like I shouldn't pick him. I feel like I should pick Dos Santos to win, but I kind of feel like for some strange reason, Neil Magny can pull it off. I think that he's a bit more well-rounded. I feel like he can take it to the ground, and I feel like that if he does those things, it can nullify anything that Dos Santos does. So next we got Carl Rosa versus Nora Cornhole, or Cornhole. Listen, I gotta say that this one's pretty run-of-the-mill fight. I think Cara Rosa, she's nothing really too special. She's got clean footwork. She has a really good inside leg kick, but she gets on her bike. She's not really a finisher. She's a decision merchant. Nothing really that special. Now, Nora, on the other hand, she has a lot of power. She has really good knees, and she has a lot of aggression. And I think with those things, she could finish, Carl Rosa. But with that being said, I think I think I'll take Carl Rosa by decision. I just think that what she's going to try to do is just get on her bike, pick her shots, and I think ultimately if it gets down to it, she'll take things to the ground. I would say that Nora could finish her and could knock her out, but just based off of what I've seen, it just seems like Carl Rosa is just a bit more well-rounded and a bit more of a veteran. She's not really in it for the finish. She's in it for the long haul, and I think that could work against Nora. So next we got Elvis Brenner versus Esteban Ribovic. Listen, man, Elvis Brenner, man, good grappling. He's tough, and he needs to summon in, listen, Evil Oliveira. If you know, you know. When he went blonde and he had just half of his head was blood and the other half was blonde, and he came back and got the TKO finish, that was a good fight. Esteban Ribovic, though, has really fast kicks, really fast knees, and constant pressure. So with that being said, I'll take Esteban Ribovic. I do think Elvis Brenner could take things to the ground, but he's not like a really highly elite level guy. I mean, he trains with Charles Oliveira, but he's not Charles Oliveira. And I'll just put it to you like that. I think Esteban Ribovic, he could easily stuff his takedowns. He can easily get up if, Esteban tries, if Elvis tries holding him down. And I just think that Ribovic at the end of the day, listen, if Elvis shoots in, he can use his knees, his clinch, his kicks are really fast, and he has a lot of pressure, so he's not going to back up. So with that being said, I'll take Esteban. All right, next we got Mateusz Rebecki versus Chris Duncan. So, listen, man, last fight with Mateusz was a war, or I believe it was the fight with Orobai. It was an absolute war. And he could take a lot of punishment. His punches, they're wide, they're looping, right? And he's kind of a slugger. He's just super tough. He is a bit technical, but his punches are just wide, and he just kind of wings and throws with violent purpose. Chris Duncan, on the other hand, he has good grappling, and I know he has a knockout win, or at least a few. But he's not defensively sound. And if you guys remember on the Contender series, he got hit with the same uppercut like a few times. You know what I mean? And he almost got knocked out before he made the comeback finish. And really, I just think that Rebetsky's going to get the finish. I think he's going to knock him out. I just don't think Chris Duncan seems as defensively sound, and he's not as tough to make up for that. So I think that Rebetsky's probably going to get the finish, I think, in the second round. Next, so we got the main event. We got Tatsuro Tari versus Hong-Sung Park. Now, Tari is very technical. He looks for openings, right? He mixes things up. He's not exactly a finisher, right? He doesn't go in winging and looking to knock you out. He just kind of picks it apart and really takes his time. He's a very technical person, a very technical fighter. But also, it can be very boring to watch. And I'm just going to put that out there. That, you know, he's a guy who's a slow burn. You know what I mean? A slow burn fighter, I would say. Where Park, on the other hand, he has great boxing combinations. You know, his pressure is just really, really good. And also his back-taking ability. And I really think that if he could take Tatsuro's back, he can beat him. He can choke him out. He can beat him up and choke him out and win this fight. But with that being said, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Tatsuro is going to be super technical. I think he's going to stuff the takedowns. I think he's going to use his movement. I think he's going to chop the legs. And I think he's just really going to kind of, I don't want to say coast to the win, but I do think he's just going to pick him apart and probably outclass Park a little bit. You know, even though Park is 10-0, Tatsuro is 16-1. You know, and I don't want to say that that is completely relevant to the case. But, you know, I feel like that Tatsuro's competition is just a wee bit higher, and his technique is just a wee bit higher as well. Where I feel like that Park, he just kind of relies more on the pressure and his boxing combinations and just goes straight in. And I feel like that in that case, it's really more of a coin toss. You know, I'm not really too confident in this pick, but I do think that Tatsuro Tari will get the job done. But I do see a clear opportunity that Hong-Sung Park could take his back, could choke him out, or can just straight up suffocate him, you know, for 5 rounds. But with that being said, you guys, these are my small, calm little fight night predictions for this fight. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I also have my top 15 pound-for-pound UFC fighter video in the works as well. I'm going to try to be more active. You know, I'm sorry for not being as consistent with posting, and that is something that I will try to keep up with. Let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see. Would you guys want me to see career breakdowns of fighters? Do you guys want me to talk about, you know, fighting news or just things outside of fighting in general? Let me know. So yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next video whenever I make one. Peace out.